You were one of the few prominent outlets to cover Ibrahim Traoré in the English speaking world anyway. His rise, like from the beginning, right? Like he's an unabashed anti-imperialist ruler. And that's like something we hadn't really seen before
Mm.
on this scale, I think. So, can you speak a little bit about that and what your insight is into, like we're saying, the shift into a multipolar world? What is your insights into the alliance of the Sahel states, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger? How do they work together? How do they influence the region? And what do you kind of foresee?
Sure. I'll start with how they influence the region to start off with. So I was living in Ghana in 2014, and the president of Ghana at the time was Mahama, the president right now. So he inherited the office because he was vice president and the president died, so he became the president. Then there was 8 years of Nana Akufo-Addo, who's like IMF neoliberal puppet president, and now Mahama's come back in. When he's come back into power now, he's completely different. So at his inauguration, Ibrahim Traoré was there in Ghana and had the loudest applause, loudest attention. Everyone was cheering for him. And you could see it on Mahama's face. He was kind of looking at this young man, thinking, I want me some of that. Wherever he's doing, I want to be received by my people. So since then, he's gone on a very radical program. I mean, it was radical until a recent announcement that hope it's not true, that they'll potentially be taking immigrants from the US that are not Ghanaian. So that's obviously not great. But before that, he's been doing a lot of radical stuff. The Ghanaian CD is the strongest performing currency in Africa. He started to do a lot of infrastructure programs, etc. So we can see the influence, and we can see other leaders are now trying to talk, even if it's fake, they're trying to talk, use anti-imperialist, pan-African rhetoric. Ruto did it in a very disgusting way when he was at the UN giving a speech about the Kenyan troop deployment to Haiti. He used this beautiful pan-African language, about Haiti. He was saying Haiti has been exploited for over 400 years. He didn't say by who, because obviously that would let the cat out the bag. He said they've been exploited, and we as Africans, we have a duty to Haiti as the first Black republic to freedom. So he used Pan-African language to sell an imperialist. Obviously, that's not good, but I'm just trying to explain the influence of this rhetoric at the moment, that even, our enemies are using the language. Yeah, so the rise of African Stream and the rise of Ibrahim Traoré go almost hand in hand. We launched in September of 2022. I believe he came into power a few months before. I can't remember the month, I can look it up, but a few months before, either June or July. So we followed him right from the start. And from the start, he was doing amazing stuff. He was prioritizing local languages. He was talking about the CFA franc as a neo-colonial tool to control the economies of these French-speaking African countries. But he was also doing something very interesting, not just him, it actually started in Mali, in the way that they were talking about terrorism. So Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have become the epicenter of terrorism at the moment in the world. Yeah. And the French were invited by a reactionary Mali government, I believe in 2013, to help fight the terrorist problem. But since they entered the fight, the terrorism issue just got worse and worse. And so these leaders, all of them, it's not a coincidence that they come from the army, because the people on the ground in the army can see with their own eyes what's happening. So in Mali and Burkina Faso, they were noticing that the French were not only not supporting them in the fight, they were doing the opposite. So Mali, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, the General Assembly, the foreign minister made a very powerful speech about the French using planes to resupply the terrorists in the UN General Assembly. Ibrahim Traoré was saying the French would always show up after the fight is done. They have the most high-tech equipment, these fighter jets that can go 0 to 60 in I don't know how many miles per hour, but they always show up after the fight is done. And so for the military leaders, that was the primary reason for the coup. They were seeing their comrades, their friends being killed in what they saw as a phony fight against terrorism, which wasn't really about terrorism at all. It was about maintaining a presence of these militant groups so you can maintain French presence in the region, French boots on the ground, American boots on the ground. So, yeah, one of the first things that Ibrahim Traoré did was speak to the people, explain this as a soldier, giving first-hand accounts, things that he's seen on the battleground, and convince the people that this is their fight. So we've had thousands, tens of thousands of ordinary Burkina Faso citizens joining the fight. Inam told me that one of the guys that was working at the library said to her that I'm going to have to leave in a couple of months because I'm going to join the army to defend the country. And this is just, you know, an ordinary guy. People can see what he's doing and they believe in what he's doing, but it's the infrastructure projects. The reason why a lot of Africans have a positive view on China and they don't have a positive view on the West is because the West comes with, you guys need to sort out your human rights, you guys need to sort out this, you guys need, wagging their finger, yeah? Not understanding the stage of development we're in. The stage of development that we're in, the most important thing is infrastructure. Infrastructure is everything. Everything. If a community in the north can't sell their goods to the capital, then they're always going to be economically oppressed. So you have to fix that road. You have to make a road. You have to make a highway. It's funny because, you know, I've met a few quote unquote expats here, and I sometimes I just listen into their conversations without like saying my opinion. And one of them was saying, all the African Uber drivers, they love China. I don't think they understand what China's doing in Africa. I'm like, no, they understand. They understand. You're the one that doesn't understand. But anyway, I digress. So in Burkina Faso, it was infrastructure products. I can't remember the stat off the top of my head. I remember reading it and was gobsmacked about how much paved road there was before Ibrahim Traoré came into power. And he's basically come out with an ambitious target to triple the amount of paved road that exists in the country from when he came to power by 2030. Yeah, that's number one. He's built factories and made them co-ops. So there's a tomato paste factory where ordinary citizens have bought shares and are part of the leadership structure and the decision-making structure. He's invited patriotic Burkina Faso citizens to come back. Come back, we're going to make it business friendly for you. So there's a guy that's come back and set up an electric car taxi firm. I could go on and on. People that violate traffic crimes or do crimes, they're made to do community service on the street. Usually this used to happen to the very poor sections of society only. Now people are seeing former business owners picking up trash because, you know, they've gone for a red light. So they can see this is something special. This is something that I'm going to tell my children about, my grandchildren about. When they ask me the question, what was you doing while this revolution was happening? I want to say I was doing this. And they're cooperating with each other. So they have a joint foreign policy. What that means is Mali fell out with the Ukrainian government because a Ukrainian official celebrated some terrorist attack in Mali. So they recalled the ambassador, got him to explain himself, didn't like his explanation. Mali kicked out the ambassador, Burkina Faso and Niger followed through. Of course, they're forming an alliance of Sahel states, so they're going to have a one passport. Yeah. They're working towards a unified military. This is what Pan-Africanists have dreamed of. Our argument is, as we are atomized individual states, we're always going to be picked off by imperialists. Yeah, the reason why Niger had signed such exploitative deals with France is because France could always bully them with Chad. Oh, you know, Chad has accepted this. So when we have a unified position, the European Union does it, often to the exploitation of the global South. But you can't just go into the European Union and set your own prices because you'd be upsetting the farmers in Spain. They have a unified approach to the economy and how it should benefit all member states. But in Africa, we're competing with one another. So Pan-Africanism has to be the solution. It can't be a situation where these are countries that border each other. The Islamic State shouldn't be able to just run into a neighboring country and be free and be safe. If we have a unified approach to this problem, wherever they go, we've got them. So yeah, they're doing amazing stuff and they have our support and it's a process. And the most important thing about it to understand, which people don't understand outside, is this is led by the grassroots. So whenever you hear a policy decision, it usually comes from the grassroots. In fact, always comes from the grassroots. So it's a controversial thing, or maybe I should avoid the topic, but I've started. There was a lot of talk in the American left and the Western left about Ibrahim Traoré's recent law on homosexuality. It isn't his law, first and foremost. This is a call. I don't agree with it. Let me just put that out there, first and foremost. I don't agree with it, but I'm not in Burkina Faso. This is a call from the grassroots because they associate the LGBT agenda with Western imperialism. This is something that people don't understand. They think this is part of the Western imperialist project. So that's why they've made it part of their demands of the revolution. Now, if we really want to change minds, we've got to talk to the grassroots organizations in Burkina Faso and have dialogue, have condemnation. By condemning a leader that it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So I'm just saying that the grassroots are making demands, and the president, especially in Burkina Faso, is listening to those demands and implementing them. So when you see something happen in Burkina Faso, it always comes from the calls of the grassroots.
That's a really great point. Thank you for that context. And yeah, I just want to say that the recent outcry about the LGBTQIA plus thing is just, it's very frustrating because we know that those are the talking points that the US empire uses against countries, especially just before they're destabilizing them. Like you said, the color revolution playbook. We know that happens. What do you think the solution is anyway? We need development in these countries in order to make any sort of social progress anyway. We know that. So development does not come from invading other countries and overthrowing their governments. I mean, it's just deeply frustrating that that is happening again, the same predictable playbook, and people are falling for it.